Yo, welcome back again today, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Antoine Wilson. And so Antoine Wilson started a fried chicken soul food Black American, African American restaurant in Brazil. Originally, he was working in the music industry until 2015, to where he did, in the music industry, he was doing data analysis. And then eventually he quit his job and he wanted to actually cook. And he always loved to travel, so he went to over 22 countries. And a lot of time he spent in Asia, and within Asia, he had a food truck in the Philippines in Manila. And so eventually when he came back home to America, he wanted to cook some more and he wanted to move and look around. So he was looking at Colombia and he was also looking at Mexico, but he had a friend in Brazil that had moved to Brazil long ago. And so therefore he finally picked Brazil to go to Brazil to start this new Brooklyn fried chicken restaurant, because he had a friend there. And of course, you already know, when you go to a different country, when you have support, it's a lot easier than not having support at all. So he went there and he started a African American Brooklyn fried chicken company, soul food style. So basically a Black person from America is cooking it authentically for them in Brazil. And the crazy thing about it was that he didn't really know that it was going to be a big hit. So as soon as he opened up, it was like a line around the corner. It's a huge hit. And it's one of the, or actually I think it is the only authentic African American food restaurant or stand. I don't know exactly if it's like a brick or mortar at this exact moment or not, but it's the only African American prepared food spot that you can go to in Rio, in Brazil, which in Rio has a huge amount of Black people. I think it's actually the majority of Rio, or the majority of the population of Rio is Afro-Brazilian or Black Brazilians, if I'm correct. But it's dope because he also employs all Black people within that area, so Afro-Brazilian. So a lot of people that work for him are Afro-Brazilians. His wife is actually Afro-Brazilian, and they made that connection between two Black people, and she actually helps as well with the cooking and the restaurant and the food in general. And I think he has two companies. So one of them is a spices company. So he has a company where he has all his own spices, and then he has another one, obviously, which is Brooklyn Fried Chicken, which is obviously based, he's from Brooklyn, so it's more so like New York style of Black African American chicken, right? Which probably has influences from the South, as we already know, because that's where a lot of obviously soul food comes from, is the southern region of the United States. But it was interesting because the way that he put it was that the local cuisine is only more so flavored or seasoned, I guess, with garlic and a couple of other things. And I don't know if a lot of people know or not, but in a lot, not all, but in a lot of African American households, the seasoning and the spices is a huge thing, the variety of spices. And of course, some families maybe not so much as so, and in some families a lot. There's some Black women, older Black women, I've been to their house, and it's they have a whole rack or a whole thing of seasoning that's just for seasoning. So the seasoning can get very complex, and basically what he noticed was that how complex African American cuisine can be, soul food, with the seasoning, right? And the taste and the numbers of seasonings that are put together to put onto meats or different foods, whatever that might be. He noticed that they weren't doing that so much. It was, I guess, more so of a simplistic flavor combination, and he sort of kind of brought something that was a lot different and authentic. I always say this all the time, I would just love to know, maybe somebody can tell me, is there any soul food, African American food restaurants in anywhere in Africa, in the Caribbean? I'm so curious to know, because this is a big opportunity, I think, when it comes to franchising and showing off soul food, and all that encompasses soul food in America. I think a lot of people would want to try it and actually have it. So I always wonder that. I always wonder in Ghana or Nigeria, if anywhere, I would probably think Ghana, it would be, in Africa especially. But in South America, in Colombia, Argentina, or Central and South America, Colombia, Argentina, Venezuela, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Africa, Nigeria or Egypt or Libya or whatever, Rwanda. Is there any soul food restaurants? Is there any African American restaurant that encompasses the whole African American experience, because I think a lot of times we look at it from like a musical standpoint or maybe like fashion standpoint, but what if you created a lounge off of the experience of African Americans in America? So like obviously there's different regions, right? A lot of people I think sort of sometimes try to ball African Americans up into like one thing, when in all reality, obviously if you're from America, you already know there's different regions. There's the West Coast, there's the Midwest where I live, there's the East Coast and the South. And of course there's a lot of things that like we share in common, but there's also a lot of things that are a little bit different depending on where region you come from. Of course, naturally, if you move to a region that's colder in the north, things might change a little bit, how people do things, the ingredients might not be as available. And then if you live in the southern part of America, there might be more plentiful for ingredients, especially for fruits and vegetables all year round. And of course, as people travel, the food sort of changes throughout time. So the way that they do things and cook in the Midwest, and maybe the way that I think we have soul food, but we might not necessarily have like a soul food restaurant on every block. Like in the South, like there's a soul food restaurant everywhere, more like a lot of soul food restaurants. So it's like those things can manipulate how a group of people act, and also the slang and how you speak and your accent. Somebody from the West Coast in America, I can almost guarantee all the time, I can tell that they're from the West Coast. I can even sort of sometimes tell if they're from like NorCal or Northern California or Southern California, just the way that they speak, the slang that they speak, right? The accent, the same way as if you're in the Midwest where there's maybe 2 or 3 different accents when it comes to like overall, but there's a consensus that I can sort of tell that you're from the Midwest, and then obviously like the East Coast and then the South, and there's different accents within those regions as well, right? Like a Boston accent in the East Coast is different from a New York accent, but still the underlining tone, you can tell that it's somebody from the East Coast, and that's sort of kind of what I'm trying to say. So I'm not saying everybody has to be a cook. I'm not saying everybody has to like start a restaurant, but I think one of the easiest things in some aspects outside of getting the ingredients that we might use in America, one of the easiest things to do if you're in a different country is to cook soul food, to learn how to cook soul food if you don't know how to do it, or to cook soul food and start a restaurant. Because I think that a lot of people are yearning to have and eat soul food and these flavors. Of course, you know, try to cook it as healthy as possible. But look, some people don't want it to be healthy. Some people want it to be old school, traditional soul food, you know, cooking with like, you know, pork fat and all this kind of stuff. I mean, look, every country's different. Some people still like that. Some countries, they still cook traditionally, or, I mean, even in America, like in the South, there's some people that still cook, you know, unfortunately, a little bit more unhealthier, but also there is flavor that comes behind certain things that, you know, some people are just not willing to give up flavor. It is what it is. But of course, me being from the North, I'm from Ohio, I don't necessarily like to cook things the super duper traditional way when I like attempt to cook soul food. I'm nowhere near as good as like some obviously like older black women and men that have been doing it for 40, 50, 60 years. But I'm just saying that even when I attempt to, I try to cook it more healthier. But you have to look at your demographic. I would say give them 2 options if possible. But this is something that we can actually like export. You know, like if we're somewhere and we don't have a job or you can't find a job, like start cooking soul food. Cook like greens a certain way, cook fried chicken a certain way, cook jambalaya and gumbo, or dumplings, or cornbread, or all these different dishes that we have that you can export to the rest of the world. So I just thought this was interesting that this is like one of the first maybe the first African American spot, Black American spot that is in Rio or just in Brazil. So if you're in Brazil, if you're in South America, always shout out to all my Afro Brazilians, because you know I got mad love for all my Black Brazilians in Brazil. Like yeah, like I got people in Brazil, so I'm gonna be there. Don't worry, I'm gonna be there at some point. Go check out his restaurant. I'm gonna have his Instagram down here. You should definitely go check it out. I just thought it was so interesting, and I thought I would just share it with you guys because I just thought it was such an interesting thing. And yeah, go check them out, see if the food's good or not. You know what I'm saying? If you're African American, you know, then go down there and check it and see if you think it's authentic or if you like it. You know, like I said, he's from Brooklyn. Of course, maybe a generation or 2 or 3 ago, his peoples, or maybe even 4, who really knows how long he's been in New York, but maybe his people come from the South, and maybe there's something that has been passed on down the road. So yeah, go check him out. His Instagram's going to be down there. If you're in Rio, if you're in South America, go check the brother out. Yo guys, please check out my NFT as well, which is Diaspora, which is the online art that I have created, and I'm creating more, and it's based off of African descent people all around the world, so there's going to be different types of them. Online collectible art, you can go buy if you like. If you don't, you just want to check it out, go down to the link down there. Please like and subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you get all my videos. Add me on all social medias, which is Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, which is all African Network. Always love each other, always learn from each other. And yo guys, until next time, keep cooking. Peace. One love.